hip hop is some version of artificial intelligence because artificial intelligence sampled and gobbled up everything. So it's okay for humans to borrow, but people that make machines that borrow, that are creative too, like where's the protection? You say creativity and you're thinking of musicians. I think creativity, I think of mathematicians, I think of scientists, I think of engineers. These creatives that you're talking about, the true creatives, will be okay. The ones that I'm concerned about are the assistants, the sales clerks, the lawyers, the accountants. Because that is all memory.
Hello and welcome to the Times Tech Podcast, where we unpack how technology is reshaping business, culture, and everyday life. I'm Katie Prescott, covering all things tech here in the City of London. And this week, I have a Silicon Valley tech titan in the studio with me, Danny Fortson. Hello.
Hello.
In real life.
We're here.
You exist.
Yeah, I do.
Welcome to London.
A real carbon-based life form.
Welcome to London.
Well,
it's great to have you here. What are you doing?
I'm here for a bunch of stuff. Partially to just check in with HQ. Let them know that I'm actually just not an email address. I'm actually a real person.
Yeah.
Catching up with friends, running around, although I'm not running anywhere. Actually, I broke my toe.
How did you do that?
Packing my bag.
That's not a very cool story.
Well,
I
was coming up, I was like, could I have like a Jean-Claude Van Damme type story where I was like just walking down the street and all of a sudden I had to drop kick somebody. But actually I stubbed my toe in a very dramatic fashion and broke it.
Ouch. So
I'm actually hobbling around the City of London. But I'm here.
And next time we can think of a better story involving a robot.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do my best.
Well, it's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
As well as you, the special celebrity guest, we've also got another celebrity on the programme today, who many of you may have heard of and know from the Black Eyed Peas, Will.i.am.
Very cool.
Very cool, because over the last decade or so, he has become far more than just an artist, and he's a big figure in the world of tech, an investor in some companies you may have heard of, Anthropic, OpenAI, Hugging Face, Lovable. I was pretty surprised actually by the roll call of investments that he's made at quite early stages, and he's also really passionate about using AI to help the next generation and the global south, and also deprived parts of America too. And he has a lot of very, very interesting things to say about AI and creativity. I was surprised actually he's not against the use of AI in music, unlike a lot of creatives that we hear from. It's almost as if he wants AI to have just a better spin put on it.
Well, that is a theme this week. So a couple things have happened, but ultimately it kind of leads, there's like one big kind of macro story that leads into the chat with Will.i.am, which is lots of people from the tech world, some not, are all saying the same thing, which is AI is going to transform the world. And I know that's like, shock. But there is a kind of a growing sense from people inside the industry, outside the industry, that this whole idea of very powerful AI is not just marketing spin, that it's going to hit us between the eyes much faster than we think, and that we need to be thinking about it, we need to be acting, we need to be doing stuff. So there's a whole bunch of stories around that theme that have kind of popped up this week. Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to be talking about all of that, the fact that AI does need better PR, but it also needs some stronger rules around it too.
Exactly.
I mean, on the subject of PR, this extraordinary advert that you shared on our WhatsApp group earlier this week by Anthropic.
Yeah, so Anthropic released this like 90-second video, and it's entitled, "There's Hope in the Hard Questions." It almost sounds like the beginning of Star Wars or something. But it's kind of a call to arms, warning about the potential harms of AI and how they can be stopped. And the ad starts with a video of a burning house. Very uplifting, right?
Just what you think of when you think of AI, isn't it?
And then it kind of scrolls through this whole kind of roll of dystopian images a military graveyard, a homeless man sleeping on the street, a crowd of people being kind of surveilled by facial recognition, all of this stuff. And you're kind of like, what is this, right? And voicing over it is questions like, can AI be trusted? Who's going to hit the brakes if we need, et cetera, et cetera. But then it shifts in tone, questioning whether it could be a different outcome if everyone had a role in shaping how AI is handled. And by the end, it moves to a more hopeful message. And the voiceover asks questions like, could AI help people feel less misunderstood?
So it's a classic narrative move from the really rubbish stuff into, but
Correct.
look, this is what we can offer you.
Exactly. So shall we watch just to give you
please.
a flavor?
Can AI be trusted?
Who's going to hit the brakes if we need to?
How do we really ensure that what we're aiming to achieve really does benefit the majority of people?
I don't think those dystopian images did very much to dispel any doubts or fears that people have about AI. I mean, all of the things they showed, all of those images are very, very genuine, very real, very fact-based fears, and I think play into our next story, which was yet another call for regulation of AI from the very credible quarters of Google DeepMind, and
right.
no less than Demis Hassabis himself.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
We should say. But so he
And
posted,
the Times Tech Summit.
exactly, he posted an essay on X calling for the U.S. to establish a new kind of AI watchdog with the power to screen the world's most advanced models and hit the brakes if the systems get too powerful. And what he's calling for is effectively, think of like, I don't know, the FAA for aviation, or the FDA for drugs, or whatever. Some kind of standards body that comes together quite quickly. He's talking months, not years, to basically step in as almost like a gatekeeper as these models develop. Because he's like, look, AI is going to be 10 times more impactful than the industrial revolution, and at 10 times the speed. Which, if that is true, I mean, it's almost like climate change. You're like, what do I do with this giant thing?
And the essay is almost like a rerun of the Anthropic advert, because he talks about all of the potential dangers, which we see in the Anthropic ad, use in the military, use in cyber warfare, but also the advantages. He said, yes, it's going to have an incredible impact on healthcare. It's going to, as you say, be like the Industrial Revolution in terms of changing our society. And it's going to happen really quickly.
Yeah.
By the end of 2030.
Yeah.
I think what really struck me about the advert and about that essay is, this is not the first time we've heard this. There have been so many talking shops around AGI and how we handle it, right back to the Bletchley Park Summit in 2023, hosted by the British government, which kicked off all of those AI safety summits. And we've interviewed so many of these people who've been involved in these things. So we've got that going on, the related AI Safety Institute that the UK has to look at models, and then the various safety institutes around the world. We've got the AI for Good Summit that Will.i.am was at, that the UN hosted in Geneva. I mean, there are just innumerable examples of these talking shops. And then the Trump government, the Trump administration saying, actually, we want to start looking inside these models before they go out publicly. No one has actually managed to create something like Demis Hassabis is talking about.
No.
So there are all of these political heads together, all of these business leaders, but there's still that leap needs to be made. And meanwhile, it's developing at pace. And actually, I thought that the Trump administration's move to want to look inside models just shows how on the back foot we are with all of these things. Something really powerful comes out, like Anthropic's Fable, and suddenly we want to have a look at this. I did think Demis Hassabis's intervention was very constructive, though.
Yeah.
It was pretty short and easy to read.
For sure.
Very clear, with a strong message, which is, this is coming. Guys, let's do something about it.
Yeah.
So he was calling on the US to lead on it.
Which makes sense, because that's where all the kind of the big labs are, the big tech companies are.
It's like, who is actually going to convene this? And maybe it does need to start with the labs.
Or maybe outside the labs. Maybe a musician or somebody who's deeply ensconced in this world. Because we should say, this is a perfect segue, of course, to this week's guest. And I think it's worth pointing out that, and you mentioned it earlier, Will.i.am, there's a lot of like entertainers who would become like, hey, I'm a brand ambassador for this new thing. But he is not that.
No, quite
He's
the opposite.
Yeah, he's much more deeply involved. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from him on all of this.
Yeah, he's got a really long history with tech, both as a musician, using tech in his music and beyond. I mean, he worked within Intel. He's an investor in OpenAI, Anthropic, Lovable. He started his own tech companies. And it was really, really cool to get to speak to him. I mean, as you know, we hear a lot from the creative industries about how annoyed they are about the advent of AI and how it's shaking up business models. And actually, I was very surprised about what he had to say about that, about creativity, how he thinks about making music, where ideas come from. He was very philosophical, and I don't think we get to interview
And I think it's really
like
easy, and something we always have to keep in check is like, you can just have a parade of nerds on this show or any tech show who are just
Don't say that. We don't want to put the parade off. This is a
but you know what I mean, of people
zone.
who are like inside making it and like have fully drunk the Kool-Aid, and then so it's nice to have people who are kind of using this stuff or on the cutting edge, but just coming from a completely different perspective.
And very thoughtful about it. And getting to take that step back and thinking, hang on, how does that affect me, the creative community, other communities? And he is very thoughtful on all of those things. I mean, he's very concerned about the benefits of AI not being shared widely. And we spoke while he was in Geneva, having been in Milton Keynes for a Black Eyed Peas tour. He was combining the two.
Black Eyed Peas are still touring?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. Should we hear from the man himself?
We should. Let's have a listen. Just to let you know, there is some swearing. Again, I don't think I've ever said that on this podcast before. What do you know? No.
Oh, dear, I'm
You're not averse to a bit of swearing, Danny Fortson.
I was.
Anyway.
I was being facetious. Let's see what he has to say.
This is my first time here physically.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going to Davos World Economic Forum since 2015, so 11 years. We talk about AI at WEF, but it's not like the focus.
Yeah.
Because there's not that much time. So what AI for Good is to really just focus on AI and robotics and address the concerns, and then use the time to imagine a path and get commitments from folks that are the builders to have an ethical path to market. That's what AI for Good is about. I said a sentence at a panel yesterday. They're like, what is AI for Good? I was like, imagine the earth was a computer and human beings are the large living model. Then AI for Good is the prompt that the folks that are building follow that prompt. And if you don't follow that prompt, then you're hallucinating. If you don't follow that prompt, then you didn't get the assignment and you have a bad model. You have a bad path to market. Like, why wouldn't you have AI for Good?
So the idea is to create that prompt and push people
to execute
follow it.
The prompt. No, not create the prompt. The prompt is created. It's called AI for Good. Now, folks that are building it need to execute it. And those that don't execute it, well, then what did you do it for? What were you making AI for if it's not for good?
When I was talking to people about this interview, their first reaction was, oh, wow, that is so cool. And then their second reaction was, what's Will.i.am's involvement in tech? And I just wonder what drew you as a creative into this industry, which to many people feels like completely the opposite of that.
So I don't play the piano like a pro. I'm not a pianist. I'm not a guitarist. I'm not a flautist, a saxophonist. I'm not a drummer. I could play the piano enough to write a progression, and then I could play the drums enough to get some basic rhythm down. But for that to sound decent, I have to come to my computer and edit it. So what type of musician am I? Well, I'm not really a musician from that perspective. I am an arranger and an editor and a songwriter. I can't sing other people's songs. I can sing my songs. If you ask me to sing a Stevie Wonder song, I can't do that. No. Sing a Whitney Houston song? Nah, definitely not. Sing a Michael Jackson song? No. But I could write a song for Michael Jackson. I could sing that. And I could edit it to what, in my interpretation of perfection. So if that's the case, what is my instrument? Well, the laptop is my instrument. The computer is my instrument. I make music because of compute. And most every person that comes from hip hop either entered music from a sampler, which is a computer. You can't record without the tech. A microphone, RCA. Our first Steve Jobs is Edison and Tesla. Radio and microphone and gramophone. So our founders of this tech are technologists. And then they put music on it. And then some of us were fiddlers of technology that manipulated the technology. So in a way, hip hop is some version of artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence sampled and gobbled up everything. Artificial intelligence is a repository of a lot of stuff, if not everything.
But not
Hip-hop,
every artist
Yeah.
has sort of gone into the world of tech in the way you have, right? Because I completely hear what you're saying about the influence of tech on music. But you're sitting now, with the bosses of some of the biggest AI companies, with governments, and talking about the policy and the philosophy behind the tech. How did that come about?
I'm curious and hypercognitive, critical thinker, and mega create mind. Like there's not a moment where I'm like, oh, and then we could, and shouldn't it? But what if it? I'm always, it's an editor's perspective. Like, oh no, but if I did this and if you did that, well, that mentality of pattern matching, it's how my mind works. And so if you're making any type of product, whatever it is, people that make the product want to be around that type of mind. Just like me, if I'm making a song, I want to find another mind like mine. Hey, what's your name? I noticed the way you were thinking. Hey, you mind if we have a ping pong brain session right quick? What do you think about this? And you throw out wild concepts and you throw it at a mind like that and they come back and you're like, oh, where do you come from? Why do you ask? Well, it's just the way your mind works. I like the way your mind works. It's a tilt. Do you see it this way? Can you see what I see? Like you're always searching for the things that people can't see. Do you see that? So to your question, how did I get into a room with these folks? Well, at one point in time, we launched iPod and iTunes, and I had the chance of meeting Johnny Ives and Tony Fadell, the makers of the iPod. And I met Jim Basile from BlackBerry and Paul Jacobs from Qualcomm. And I was fascinated by these folks that make products. And I would ask them questions like, how much did it cost to make this prototype? Before you even made it, what was the prototype? How much did that cost? Like, what did it take? How long did it take? What was the seed? What was the first seed? Because I'm curious about that. How did the dominoes fall for the iPod? How did the dominoes fall for the iPhone? How did the dominoes fall for the MacBook? How did the dominoes fall for Tesla? What was the first seed? And then what was the journey to manifestation? So that took me to then like wanting to know more about the makers and the builders. And I learned about a car company out of San Jose. And I took 80 grand of my own money from tour and flew up to San Jose, drove to their office and asked them if I could invest the $80,000 in this car company that hadn't come out yet. Like, hey, come on, man, I'll help you promote it. Let me invest $80,000. The car's not even out yet, so I can't buy it. So I could invest, and then I'll buy the one that comes out. And so they let me invest, these two founders. That car company is Tesla now. So I invested in Tesla early.
Was that pre-Elon Musk?
Yeah, pre-Elon Musk. Just wanting to meet more of these brains because it is a touchy subject. The question that you're asking me, why do I love tech so much? And despite AI and my community, some people in the community concerned about it.
On the copyright thing, how do you feel about your songs and your work being ingested and used, perhaps without recompense? Like when you talk about the business model, how do you think, I mean, are you okay with it? And do you think it should work in a different way?
There's 8 notes. You don't have an infinite amount of notes. The combination of notes. You don't have an infinite amount of combination of notes. Beats. You don't have an infinite amount of that type of beat. It's just math. And so there's a part of me that feels like, is there original idea anymore? Nope, there's not. There's not. Do I want my ideas to be protected? Yes, I do. The ideas that I have, can people borrow from them? Yes, they should. Do you mind that you influence people? No, I don't. Do you want to be compensated for your influence and being an inspiration? Yes, I think I should. Were you influenced by people? Yes, I was. So it's the business model that you're asking, not the tech. The tech is the tech. The business model is what the question is. It's like, how long is the copyright? How long is IP? So for me to like just be a hyper creative and just always be in a position to receive and release, receive, release, rinse out, sponge up, rinse out, sponge up, rinse out. I don't want to think about that. I have a lawyer that thinks about that. I have people in my world that think about that. And then, yes, I have a belief. Yes, protect me. Unprotected? Cool, great. Now let's stay creative.
A lot of people in the creative industries are worried about this and upset that they feel that their content's being used. And as you say, it comes down to the business model, right? That they haven't been paid or...
That's right. That's why I'm like, it's the business model, not the tech.
Yes, exactly.
Do I want to be compensated for influence and inspiration and people borrowing my works? Yes, I do. Does everybody? Yes, they should. But it's the business model, not the tech.
All I was trying to say is there, as I'm sure you know, and it comes down to the business model. There are various lawsuits going on. People are worried about not being recompensed, and that may be down to the business model. But we don't seem to have sorted out the business model yet.
Yeah, we're 6 years into it.
Mm-hmm.
This is 6 years old. Back to my thing. You hear this bass line? This drum. That's drum. Mm-hmm. That's drum loop. That's universal. Who owns that freaking pattern? Does anybody own that pattern? No one owns that. No one can own that pattern. Now, in the bass line. We know this pattern. We know that rhythm, but who owns that? Because I'll show you another song. That song is called Billie Jean. Then there's another guy named Billy Ocean who had the same pattern and same bass line. Different intro, but if I get to the bulk of it, different key though, same pattern, same but then it gets even more funky. Caribbean Queen, the vowel is in. Billie Jean, the vowel is in. Who's just the girl who claims I am the one? The landing is one. No more love on the run. The landing for Billy Ocean is one. From the vowels to the pattern, it's the same math. So in this case, did AI do that, or is that human influence? Like, so if you're a musicologist, if you're a pattern matcher, you're like, hey, wait a second here. That pattern is the same pattern there. That rhyme scheme is the same rhyme scheme. That vowel scheme is the same vowel scheme in the same song. So it's okay for humans to borrow, but people that make machines that borrow, that are creative too, like where's the protection?
It's really, really great to hear from you on this, I have to say, because I speak to lots of people in the creative industries who have kind of quite a set view on it. And it's really very rare to meet someone who sits in the center of the Venn diagram in the way you do and thinks about the tech, as you say, like from the creative side, which it's really interesting.
Only because I think people use this word creativity very loosely. You say creativity and you're thinking of musicians. I think creativity, I think of mathematicians, I think of scientists, I think of engineers, I think of, you see honey, I see bees. You see paper, I see trees. So yes, you're looking at the paper. I'm looking at the freaking tree it came from. You're looking at honey. I'm thinking about the bees and pollination. You're saying AI and creativity. You're looking at musicians. I'm thinking of the mathematicians. I'm thinking of the engineers. I'm thinking about the freaking refiners that refine the rare minerals to make the tech. It's the creativity is beyond. Yeah. And the protection, the musicians will be all right. These creatives that you're talking about, the true creatives, will be okay. The ones that I'm concerned about are the assistants, the sales clerks, the lawyers, the accountants. Because that is all memory. That's not expression. If we're talking about protection, let's talk about the disciplines, the domains that actually need protection. Journalists in 2040, there will be something that has talked to everyone, not everyone, but
yeah, I mean, it depends on them wanting to talk, doesn't it?
No. So you are really good journalist, and you studied it, and you've done lots of interviews, and your way of guiding people through questions has given you your career and your output of how you edit the conversation. AI would have pattern matched every conversation it's ever had, everything ever put on Reddit, everything ever searched on Google, because all that data is purchasable. And then
historic data, though,
no, real-time data. You don't know what people are buying right now. You don't know the traffic conditions on the street right now, the weather conditions, the hospital, all that information. The world is just like this, is putting out so much data all the time. And so there's going to be an experience. For example, if I told you in 1986, hey, in 2026, this is the experience that we're going to be living in, you'd be like, fuck out of here. What are you talking about? That sounds like some hocus pocus. Like, no, that's what the world's going to be like. If I told you in 1996, if I told you in 2009, 16 years ago, that you're going to go to a computer and you're going to type in lyrics, and then the computer is going to sing it, produce it, you'll be like, wait, what? It's 2000 and... Sorry, I mean, cut you off right now. 2009. Check this out. You know, I always come with that next.
What's that?
What is that?
This right here is the future. I input my voice, high notes, my low notes, then the whole English vocabulary. What you're able to do with that, because of this artificial intelligence, like when it's time to make a new song, I just type in the lyrics, and then this thing sings it, says it, raps it, talks it. This is it.
Wait, that means I don't gotta like rap anymore or something?
I mean, you're still rapping, but
Like,
no.
I mean, me physically, like, in a vocal booth.
No.
Okay, so you're saying machine can do anything that an artist or a group can do?
Yes. This is what's going to take the P's into 3008. This is the future right here.
We're not just going to not go to the studio and not sing anything. I mean, it takes the soul out of
You can
it.
still go to the studio. It could be go to the studio and check out what the machine does.
Yeah, but it's not real, Will.
It is real.
We're not robots.
Nobody's saying robots. All I'm saying,
Wait.
you guys are taking this totally wrong. So this conversation that we're having, look at the date on there. Look at the date.
No, I've seen it before as well.
My point of what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, so that's my job gone.
No,
Or
your
changed.
job's not gone. Your job's going to change. So what's coming, similar to how I saw text to music and Suno in 2007, for us to make this video in 2009. So when we said, I'm so 3008, you're so 2000 and late, what do we mean by that? What were we talking about? If you watch that video, in this video is about Black Eyed Peas. We're going around looking at the world and we're seeing it all technological. Then on the second half of the video, we get this blaster, this frequency blaster, to get people out of a loop, to help them see past the loop, which is a rhythm, which is an algorithm, to free them from being in the algorithmic state. That's what I'ma Be Rocking That Body is about. Boom Boom Pow is us trapped in a machine, right? So, in that video. So we've always been in this like sci-fi, sci-fact, plausible tech perspective. You do that by understanding the where things are going and where things are, more importantly. And I'm always trying to push, like, how can I create, how can I design in where it's going? How can I follow the puck? So what I'm seeing, what's coming next is, because everyone is GPTing and clouding and cloud coding, there is no more data. Humans aren't making any more differentiated data from last year. The data kind of is like, the steps are the steps. The conversation are the talk. That's why they can predict really well. And because the data is similar to past data, the predictive models are that much more effective. So we're now in synthetic data, where the machine is making its own data based on its predictions of us. And that one is the conversation that we should all be having. Not the musicians. Every human being on earth. IBM said think, compute. Apple said think different. We need to think critically. And we need to be unpredictable in a world where you could be predicted. So this conversation is a predicted conversation. We're going to talk about AI. I bet you she's going to ask me, what do I think about music and protecting the artist? Why? Because of course you're going to ask me that. I'm a musician. And you would think the predictive question is like, what do you think about music and artists? Well, it's not the tech. As a matter of fact, the tech has gobbled up everything.
What do you want to be asked? What do you not get asked that you'd like to be asked?
What are your hopes for the technology?
And what are they? I mean, you talked about, so 3008, like what's the excitement?
Imagine you lived in the South Bronx in the 80s, and all your funding for education and city development was stripped away. And I say that because South Bronx, that's the birthplace of hip hop. And life was tough there. Life was tough. But imagine you lived in favelas in Mangueira in Brazil. Or the slums of India. Imagine you lived in the Congo. Is AI responsible for how people lived or are still living in those conditions? AI did that? Are those people concerned about AI? Or are they concerned about HI? human intentions or greed, manipulation, extraction, ignorance, division. Why is it that people live? Well, how can people live like that? Who's responsible for that? What does the world look like if the folks that are living in those conditions, AI is not their worry? The world has already fell apart. The cavalry never came. And now, once and for all, they have like this abundance of information. Now they can ask, they could be critical thinkers, and they could solve their problems themselves. Now their living conditions can improve because now they have access to knowledge. Not because they're like some like terminal wizard or some coder. They just have access to results and outcomes and by taking what they're passionate about, what they're concerned about, and render out a solution. So my hopes are that folks from these communities get their hands on this technology and come up with solutions to their problems. They come up with new industries because industries will topple. There will be new journalistic practices. There'll be new industries that come. I ask this question to myself all the time. What industry is AI? Is AI just to like redo the music and television industry? Or is it supposed to create a new industry? It's supposed to create a new industry. People are just not using their imagination on what to do with it. So the first thing they put on radio was theater. And then after that, they didn't put theater. The success, the height of radio is not theater. But the first thing they put on it was theater. The first thing they put on TV was radio. But then the soap operas came. People don't know what to do when the technology first comes, so they do what they used to do on the new. And then the dreamers come, the Imagineers. The folks are like, no, I see something different. Check it out. And that day is amongst us. It's right around the corner. What to do with AI, the industry. And then the second question, the most important question is, what ism is it? What ism is AI around? Is it capitalism? Socialism? Communism? Racism? Which ism is it? What do we, as a community, as a society as a whole, which ism do we push AI towards? I say we push AI towards humanism, solving human problems. Talking about music, the creatives will be okay. Imagine if AI was a great stretcher, did awesome Pilates. Like, yo, man, you see this AI, bro? It's stretching really awesome. Look at all these poses. I don't give a fuck. I gotta fucking stretch. So when you ask me, what do I think about music? I don't give a fuck how awesome it is. I make music it's therapy for me. I have to rinse out my pain myself. I don't care how awesome it is. Prince was awesome. Did it daunt me from making music? Prince played every music song, wrote and composed better than I ever would. But did it stop me from making music? No, it inspired me. So from that, and Prince was inspired by a lot of people. If you would have asked Prince, who are your inspirations? He would say James Brown, Jimi Hendrix, Sly Stone. If you would have asked AI, who are your influences? I'm sorry, what were you trained on? If you would have asked Prince, influence, what were you trained on? Prince was trained, his neural network was trained on something. And then Prince was Prince. The AI does not have the personification to show you what it likes out of everything it ever has gobbled up yet. But it is a brain.
Yeah.
And there is a creator that created it. And they're artists as well. But what ism is it? As a society, which ism are we pushing it towards? And that's why I say there are other people there that need to be protected because the creatives will be okay.
I mean, a fascinating interview and brilliant to get to hear from him. As you said, to hear from a very, very different voice.
Yes.
And a very thoughtful individual on this subject. It did give me a business idea when he talked about, the demise of journalists.
Hold on. Let me get my notepad out.
I mean, this is going to make us a fortune. It's really interesting to hear him, how early he was.
I'm ready.
Come on.
I'm ready.
Okay. I'll give you some preamble. It's really interesting to hear how early he was to the tech, and that the conversation he was having with the Black Eyed Peas about what the future of music is going to look like. And when we were talking about the future of journalism, I pushed back and said, no, I think journalists do need to talk to people. You need to be in certain rooms. You need to have certain relationships. I still think that's true. But I wonder if you would be able to create some sort of journalistic engine that 100%. Sources could communicate with in confidence. But that was the sort of creative thinking that he sparked in me, because I'm very quick to say, no, this can't possibly happen. And actually hearing how he saw music and was completely right about that.
The thing that I've thought down, like, and this isn't necessarily like an AI thing, but his Billie Jean comparison to Billy Ocean, I love that.
Isn't it great?
Because you're like, there's however many notes, there's however many beats, like there's nothing new under the sun. We're all just sampling from each other, et cetera, which is really interesting because it gets to that point around copyright, creativity, who owns what, et cetera. And it was like, that's where the rubber meets the road, is like, what's the business model? When you think about what Napster did to music, it took 2 decades to get back to where it was the day before Napster was invented. That's how long it took back to just get back to the level of income for that entire industry, because it just decimated it before they figured out the business model. And I feel like that's the point where we are right now.
It's very good to hear him phrase it like that as well, because so many other artists that we've heard from who've written to our newspaper, for example, don't take that view at all.
Yeah.
And are furious.
And clearly, like, we've had Getty on the pod, and they're like, obviously they don't take that view.
No.
They're suing these AI companies. The New York Times is suing OpenAI, et cetera. So this is the game on the field now, is like, how do we figure out a model?
If you enjoyed that, there is an extra episode where we go, which we don't normally do.
No, we don't.
I thought I had half an hour with him, and it was such a pleasure, and we just got to keep talking.
Amazing.
So that's Will.i.am, and I think maybe the biggest celeb we've had on the pod so far.
I mean, it depends. If, speaking of the parade of nerds, we've had some like really big nerds here. Yes, like the Hall of Fame nerds.
Maybe the coolest celebrity. Maybe that's a better way of
the coolest, for sure. But like, if you're in Techland, we've had all the biggies, So
that's true.
Just depends on your perspective. But
we like the nerds.
We do. We love the nerds. More nerds.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is it for this week's episode of the Times Tech Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, drop us a line to let us know, and we'd love to know your thoughts on today's discussion.
Yeah, get in touch. Email us at techpod@thetimes.co.uk, and if there's anyone else you want to hear from in the parade of nerds that maybe we haven't had on the show, or any other ideas, let us know.
Yes, indeed. And I'm gonna now hobble myself back to Heathrow shortly and go back to America.
Well, I'll see you on the big screen next week.
Yes, indeed. Or the little screen. But
little screen.
See you there.
Bye-bye.
Bye.